Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford. And today our opening kills are host of the Queer XP.
Hi, I'm Eric Crumrine.
And she is the writer, model, and one of my favorite spooky ladies online.
Penelope.
Hi, I'm so glad you're both here.
Yeah, I'm excited for this episode. Okay, so we do a lot of talking about Final Girls on this channel. We're always talking about Final Girls. We're always talking about Sarah Michelle Gellar, Scream. Those are like the three things, basically. So this is our very first episode ever talking about Final Boys, and it's going to be an ongoing series. And so we brought both of you on, hopefully with a couple of picks that y'all have both picked. Ian has picked something, I have picked something, and so we have 4 Final Boys that we're going to go through today.
A lot of people have been asking us to do this. Like a lot of people have been asking to cover Final Boys. Yeah.
I don't gravitate towards Final Boys all that often. There's just something about a badass woman with a badass like Final Girl outfit, just the right amount of blood placement, and just, taking down the bad guy. I gravitate towards that. But we do have a good few here. Does everybody else feel like that? Is everybody else more of a Final Girl fan than a Final Boy fan?
I was going to say, Penelope, that's literally what you said when I texted you. You were like, oh, I always think of the women, but yeah, I'll find someone.
It's a perfect answer, by the way.
I also feel like I end up gravitating towards the Final Girl. I feel like with Final Boys, it's almost like, I don't know, like you've seen enough action movies and other things where like the boys, like the men all take down like the bad guys, that like horror is like the genre where the girls can rise up and do cool stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, the boys were always kind of like, you're fine.
Yeah, I feel like with Final Boys too, they always, I think they have to save somebody. Like they have to save like a woman that's in danger. And there are some instances like with one of the movies that you guys are going to be talking about, like where they save themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not saving a woman. I think those are very rare.
Yeah.
When they're saving themselves, but most of the time they're like saving the movie that I'm talking about.
Well, let's go into that. We'll start with you then.
Wow.
Since that's perfect ground for that. Okay. Do you want to introduce your Final Boy and why you picked him?
Yeah, I picked Jim from 28 Days Later because I think he doesn't really seem like somebody that's gonna end up being saved. He comes out of a coma, he's super scrawny, and then towards the end of the movie, he saves Selena, who's like badass. I think you already know that she is kind of going to come out at the end. And he also saves Hannah from like these guys that are going to use them as sex slaves. So he kills like 12 rapists too at the very end. So that's why I picked him.
Yeah.
Like, not only saves himself, but saves like these 2 other girls from rapists. So
and it is tradition. It goes along with what you were just saying too, right? Whereas he's the Final Boy who does he saves the women, right? But I don't think there's a problem with any Final Boy, Final Girl, anybody helping out their fellow victims or would-be victims or everybody they're in a survival situation, and him specifically, right? Like he wakes up in a really shit situation. He's in a coma for a month, right?
Yeah,
like about
he's
a month.
Like basically like brain dead. I think that's like the story. He's brain dead. I think he's definitely been like off the like machines for like a month. Like he's supposed to be dead, but he comes to and he's just like he's like stealing money off the ground.
That is my favorite. Like I laughed so hard. I completely forgot about that in the beginning, where he's like looking around, very confused, doesn't know what's happening, a little scared, but manages to pick the money off the floor and put it in his little shopping bag as he's going.
I love that in the beginning of that movie, he's like weak and kind of clumsy, and then at the end, he's just like the stealth killer that can run around like the top of that mansion, like, and kill these people and then release like an infected into the house. Like, I don't know how he does it, but he did a good job. So
you saying that, I feel like he does have like the journey of what would be a stereotypical like Final Girl journey, right? Because he's like smaller. You're like, I don't know, is this guy gonna make it? Like, but then we see that he like can be tough when he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was texting Penelope. I was watching it today. I forgot how fucking bleak that movie is.
Yes.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
It's a hard one to watch. That movie, it always like makes me
Yeah.
feel a little bit nauseous because it's like really shaky. It's incredibly shaky. Real low
Yeah.
budget, and then I figured it would be low budget, right? But then they're showing like these big ass shots of the city that are completely empty, so they had to have had some budget, right? Or
So I looked that up. Or Penelope,
Yeah.
were you about to say?
No, I didn't look that up, but I feel like yeah, that makes sense that they would have had to spend some sort of like a lot of money to like clear out those
So
places.
I looked that up because I was curious about that, and they apparently would film at like 5 a.m. when the sun first came up before there was traffic and just use like camera angle. I don't know how you do that because they show like you see the like ground. It's not like you don't, but they said they would shoot when there was like barely anyone around when the sun just came up and like use angles so you just couldn't see anyone.
tell people to get out of their shot,
Yeah, get the
like
fuck out of
scream
the
at them to move.
Have I told that story of how I walked on the set of Ugly Betty by accident once when I was in New York?
Did they yell at you?
Yeah, they did. I was on the phone with my mom and I wasn't paying attention. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of people around here. And then suddenly everyone is screaming at
It's
me.
because this young
like-
Latino boy is louder than all of the other extras, just screaming on the phone with his mom. Of course, they're going to yell at you to get out.
You put up some signs or something.
Apparently
they
there
probably
were.
did. They probably
Yeah.
did. And he just
Right.
on them.
I'm just an idiot. Eric, what do you think of oh God, what the hell is his name in 28 Days Later?
Jim.
Jim, right.
Yeah. No, I rewatched it because I hadn't seen it in a super long time. And so I literally watched it, I think, yesterday morning to like get back into it. And first thing I texted Ian, I was like, I was not expecting to see Cillian Murphy's dick in the opening
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, right.
I was like, all right, horror movie, go you.
Mhm.
I forgot that happened until I rewatched it. I'm like, his whole dick is out. Like,
That's a privilege that only went to the final boys as well, right?
Yeah.
Like a final girl did not do that, especially back then when this was made.
Yeah. But no, I think it was like, and I think I agree with folks. Like it was super bleak. I do think it was, and I do think he went on like a very quick arc of like, you went from being, again, like scavenging and like downing. My favorite thing was that he was like downing the sodas. And then later when he met up with Selena, she was like, oh, you're about to have a sugar crash and there's nothing we can do except get you more like Pepsi. Which clearly sponsored this movie or was an investment. Like they're everywhere.
It's their only source of income for this movie.
But I did think that it was the interesting track between like he coming in to like save everybody by the end, and while Selena was also trying to save the young girl as like best as she could. Like when she like popped her full of like Xanax or something and was like, here you go, like bad shit's about to happen and like we have no way out of this. Like let me do what I can to protect you. With him then coming in and just like murdering 12 dudes and saving them. But I did think it was a good, like, Cillian Murphy was just great in that role. Like he did a good job kind of going through that start to finish.
It had been a while since I revisited this movie, and I don't know if any of you remember reading this, that apparently he was supposed to have a cameo as a zombie in the sequel. I would have hated that.
Oh,
I wouldn't have
really?
liked that. Yeah.
He was in the
But they
comics. I know, because I looked up his little wiki page, and in the comics it said he like got arrested for, I guess, killing the higher ups or something like that.
Yeah.
But it really is bleak. His whole story is really bleak. He wakes up, he doesn't really know what's going on. He kind of has to learn quick. Stumbles into, which is like one of the scariest scenes in like horror movie, when he stumbles into the church and like one of them just like sits up like a shit. I die right then and there.
Yeah, that scene is so scary. When I was texting Ian, like I don't remember that movie being as scary as when I rewatched it the other night. I was just sitting there like, this movie is scary.
It's terrible.
Like, when those zombies are scary, like they turn into zombies way too fast. Like,
Yes.
like 10 seconds to run away or kill them. Like,
I think this was one of the first movies to really do this with the zombies as well, right? It's like they turn really quick and they run, and classically zombies did not do that. And so he's not only waking up not knowing what's going on, but he has to go up against those sort of zombies, has to really quickly adjust to an apocalypse. And he finds out that his parents like killed themselves when he goes to their house, and like how sad.
Like
they're
Jesus.
really sad.
I Yeah, I like. I mean, I like him anyway because I think he's really hot. But I do think he's a good actor too. Not just because he's hot, he's also a good actor. But I mean, I don't know. This movie's so bleak for me, and it's weird because the sequel's bleak too. But I like this. I really like the sequel. But yeah, I do like that we like get an arc. I mean, like Eric said, it is kind of like a truncated arc, but I do like that we at least it's not just like, oh, he's this tough dude who like wakes up and then is like, punching zombies. He's like he's scared too.
Just
I
about.
Like.
I
That
mean,
he's like
it happens. Not long after.
right, like he's scared and confused too, which I like.
Yeah.
And also, I meant to look this up. It's weird that because I only watched season 1 of The Walking Dead, but this is literally how The Walking Dead.
This is not The Walking Dead. No, The Walking Dead is better.
No, but that's how the first episode opens.
This is how he wakes up in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And they've just like abandoned. I don't understand why you don't just kill him. I mean, it sounds terrible, but right, just kill him if you don't think he's going to wake up and you know all of this stuff is happening. Because both in The Walking Dead and here, they just leave their bodies there and hope that they never wake up again. Or because his parents clearly saw him, had time to go to their house from the hospital, wrote a little note, hope you don't wake up, sorry, bye, maybe put him out of his misery so he doesn't have to wake up to this.
I guess the hope would be that what happens, right? It's like maybe he'll wake up and make it.
Eric, you can go next. Who'd you pick?
Oh, okay. So I picked Chris from Get Out. I had a couple others that I was like toying around with, and then I was like, no, because a number of them were like ensemble cast members. Like I was thinking about like some of the 90s, like Elijah Wood in The Faculty, Josh Hartnett in like 3 or 4 different movies because he was very booked and busy during that time. But like, right, he was an Awakening. Like I recognize that. But there's something about Daniel Kaluuya's character in Get Out, Chris, that like I think it was Penelope said it when she was talking about hers, like that he was the one that was like out to save him, like he was trying to survive. And he's also like the rare like final boy sole survivor.
Yeah,
I don't think that's as common either in terms of like, because I was like looking through like articles of like who are considered final boys, and he was one of the few that was like he was the only one that actually makes it out.
Which
and granted,
is
he didn't. Oh, go ahead.
More along the definition of final whatever, what have you, right? Is I think we play a little bit looser with it nowadays, where it can be a group of them and still be called a final boy or final girl. But you're right, like he doesn't even try to help people get out, but they don't make it. It's just him.
Yeah, and I thought for me, I mean, and that movie is incredible, just like on its own merits. And so, like, I think watching it again, I watched it this morning while I was working from home, and like, I don't know, like just the like from the jump, his like guards were up. I know that like every minute it's like something is wrong, and I know that like layers of that, including like just society and like what it means to be a Black person in like a predominantly white space, but like just the amping up of that and like his constant like I need to get out of this, and like God bless Rod from TSA who is there as his like compatriot over the phone.
I really like the addition of like him having a best friend that he can call. Yeah. Because also I do feel like that's normally like that would be a final girl thing, right? It's like, oh, she's calling like her parents or her best friend, and like usually
that happens
in
the invitation, remember? Like she's calling her best friend at that time too. And it's good to show him have a support system outside of just like, this white girlfriend that he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like
who is terrible.
Evil. Yeah.
I was gonna say, and I love that scene where he's like, we gotta go, and then she does the turn, and it's like,
she's
oh
like,
fuck,
I can't find the
he has
keys.
no one on his side.
Where are the keys?
She like looks up, she's like, I can't give you the keys, right? Like, I can't do that. And you're like,
because he's so perceptive also, like he understands what's going on throughout this entire thing, or like he's picking up on it pretty quick, right? Because I guess it goes with the photographer thing, is that he's a photographer, he can see things through a certain lens, and so he's picking up on all of this. He's really attuned to like something going on, and throughout that entire scene where she's digging for the keys, I think he knows what she's playing at.
Hoping it's not.
And then she says it, and he just, because he doesn't look shocked, he looks like, fuck, right?
Yeah. when you're like, I saw this coming, but I'm still upset. Like,
listen,
right, like,
I mean.
Like the purse was not that big. Like it was not that big. You're rifled around in there. The keys are hefty. Like it's not.
And the final boy thing that he does really well that I do like, I love a big ending, and he like gets the fucking massacre. I wanted it to be more of a massacre, if anything. Like I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
kill more of these assholes.
Oh, but the antlers.
Oh.
That's good. That's some
Yeah.
good shit.
The antlers got me, but also the what was that, like the croquet, the ball that he
Yeah.
like whacks the brother with, because you don't realize that he's like gotten up from the chair, and just like
Yeah.
the way he just tears through that house. I love the moment when they both, him and the mom, both look at the teacup as if it's like a gun.
Yeah.
He like dives across the room for it to like knock it on the floor. But like that level of like it, like they both looked at it, and that moment had that big moment of, it's almost, it felt like a, Sidney Gale and one of the killers looking at the gun and both making the dive for it. But it was a literal fucking teacup, which I just thought was hilarious.
And that movie, like, and like, he's like, I do feel like the characters he plays, the character he plays in Nope is like fairly
Another
similar. He plays like a more
boy.
toned,
Two final boys
Right.
in the Jordan Peele universe.
and like he plays a more toned down character, which I do kind of like. It's like he's not like this like super outgoing or super like whatever. He's kind of like a chill guy, right? He's just like a nice chill guy, and I like that person gets to be the final boy, because usually with final boys it's more like they're more active, they're more whatever, but he's more of a reserved dude who's like, please leave me alone. Like,
I mean, and not even
Right.
just
And he's
that,
been-
right? A black man getting to be the final boy, right? Which
Right,
is
yeah, right,
traditionally
yeah.
the character that is supposed to be for a kill scene. You put, that's always what's happened.
like in Scream 2, that's why the cameraman fucking pieces out halfway through that movie.
Well, I know we've talked about Ian and Zach. I know we talked about it, I think when we recorded on our episode over on my podcast, but the movie coming up, that's the Blackening, like, and the tagline is like,
that
we
looks
can't
so
all
funny.
die first.
Yeah.
And it's like from the people that did Scary Movie and whatever, and like leaning into more of that trope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do appreciate that for a lot of the movie too. I think Zach was saying, like, just kind of, he's present and he's like observant and watching everything. And it's just an onslaught of like, everything is wrong. And I know that it is, but I can't articulate that it's wrong because it's all my gut, which a lot of people understand that feeling. But like, you're like, especially when the girlfriend's like, what's wrong? He's like, we just got to go. Like, we got to go.
Because what do you say? What do you say? I'm getting senses that your family is trying to take me down to the sunken place, right? This sounds insane. You can't say something like that.
Right. And even just like the boldness to say like, everything feels a little racist. Like, I forget the movie came out a few years ago, but like even in that's just like that culture and that moment, to claim that something was racist or felt racist would put people over the deep end. So you like, as someone who may like, for me to claim something is homophobic, like you almost have to like have the proof before you can say the word, because people are like, well, they don't mean it. He voted for Obama twice and would have a third time. And you're like, that's not.
Yeah.
That's such a good line.
So good.
They say it
why,
twice.
why bring it up without like
Right.
us even talking about it? Like bringing it up out of nowhere is just so weird too. Like,
And it's like,
are you
it's so,
bringing that up because I'm black? Like,
it's such good writing.
yeah.
And they do say it
Yes.
twice. Allison Williams says it about her dad, and then her dad says it as well. And he's just, he has been preyed upon since the very beginning of this movie, right? As soon as he started dating her, he was being preyed upon. What do they want? His eyes? They want his eyes, particularly. And so he's not only fighting, physically, he's fighting like psychological warfare as well, which is a whole nother level,
Yeah, because I always think that Get Out like borders, it's like the kind of horror that borders on like psychological thriller, which I don't say that as a negative. I like that. But yeah, I always think it's like one of those where like I could see where someone's like, oh, it's more of like a thriller. If like Jordan Peele was like, oh, I put this out as a thriller, not horror, I'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah. Because like I feel like there's always a little bit of a blurry line with like thrillers and horror. But yeah, no, I that movie is just so good, and his like subdued acting is really good. Like I do really like that.
Yeah.
Like when he's just like you said, when he's just like, no, we got to get out of here. Let's just go. Like he's not like he just wants to get the fuck out, right? And he's right from the beginning. He's right, which is like I feel like that's like a final girl horror trope. It's like Ripley in Alien. She's right from the fucking
Yeah.
beginning, but no one listens to her, and then they all die.
And she's also really subdued, right? It's like a final girl, a final boy doesn't always have to be like screaming in hysterics the entire time or like give that level of performance. They can also have a much more subdued, quieter unease about them.
Yeah.
And then when they're finally faced with whatever they're facing, he's just like running on adrenaline from that point, right?
Yeah, which is where you get antlers from, you know.
Yes. Love it. We love it. We love the callback to the deer at the very beginning. It's a good kill.
Which
it is.
And I do think when Ian just said like the psychological piece of it, like that the moment with the deer always sticks with me, because when you first watch it, you think that the girlfriend is doing such a good thing by standing up to the cop.
Right.
When then like the reality is she just didn't want it documented that he was like on the road, and it was actually like her still being fucking awful. And so like I like that dynamic is always so interesting. Like when it's a film that like when you rewatch it and you see how much like every step where there could have been a way where he could have gotten out without all of this happening. Like there was just so many of those moments. Like how do you only listen to his TSA friends?
Yeah.
His friend should be considered a final boy. If he had like one little action scene, he could have. But Chris isn't just fighting. I mean, he's not like fighting against being killed, right? Like they're not trying to kill him. It's much worse. They're trying to push him down into a sunken place where he is almost. I forget the lore about that, right? He is basically just an audience member in his own brain, right? He can see what's going on and all of that, or is like aware of sort of what's going on but has no control. That's worse than just, a psycho trying to kill you,
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level of survival.
Yeah. And like torture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he can see everything that's happening, but he can't like stop it. Like, like it's scary. I mean, taking control of somebody's body, it's like.
Yeah, and the scene with the older woman when she's just like, no, like that's like fucking creepy, right? And he was already on edge, and then it's like, what the fuck? Like,
when shit really starts happening, and then they have like the auction scene, and how do you escape this when you finally notice that something is wrong? How do you get out? Because by this point you're already trapped in this sort of snare, right? And I think he knew that by the time he was trying to get out and trying to ask for the keys and stuff like that. He already knew he was in it. It's just like it's the question of what am I going to have to fight up against, and I think he handled it really well. Whatever came up, right? Like how long he didn't have time to process any of the things that they were throwing at him. By the end of that movie, he probably didn't understand everything that was happening to him. We did, but he probably didn't, and he just needed to fight
get out.
You know,
like, yeah.
it's hard to talk about this movie without saying get out.
I know. I'm like, we're saying the title over and over again.
Yeah. It's scary.
But I'm glad at the end that he does make it, and it's his friend who comes to his rescue, right? Because I remember my heart just dropping, and that was an ending they toyed with, right? Is him being arrested and
correct.
Getting blamed for all of this. Oh, it'd have been terrible,
Yeah, I think that was it might have been the full circle of the cop from the deer at the earlier, like might have been them coming back around. But yeah, there was definitely an ending. I don't know if it's like if you can watch it anywhere, but there's definitely an ending where the cops show up instead, and it was much more bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Penelope, what would you have thought of that ending?
If he didn't survive?
If he was like arrested and
didn't survive any of it.
I don't know. I don't want to think about that.
Well, I feel like you're more so than me. You're like very okay with a bleak ending, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do like movies where like everybody dies. A lot of like
I do too. I'm right with you.
Like everybody dies, like Blair Witch Project, like everybody dies. And that's like one of my favorite movies. So I do appreciate movies that are like that, but I also like the ending for Get Out. I like that he perseveres and like he is very perceptive and finds a way to like plug his ears so that he doesn't get hypnotized and manages to like do all of this on his own. Like that is also very smart. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I would have made it.
Well,
I'd be bad. Yeah.
Even the people he would be able to rely on, right? They've already been taken over, Georgina and Walter, and he tries to even save them,
Yep.
and it just doesn't. It doesn't. Nothing works out. The only way he was going to make it out is the ending that we got. I'm really glad we got it because I do love a bleak ending as well. I like when everybody dies, but in some situations, it's nice to just see that hope, right? And so I think this was definitely one of those. But it's interesting
Zach.
that he's like a double final boy.
He is. He is. Zach, do you want to go next?
Sure. Let's do that. I'll go. I picked Izzy from Jeepers Creepers 2. This is sort of a controversial movie, right? Because of the director and writer, and this is a character that's written by a total monster, right? But what I tend to sort of remind myself is that there's a lot of people who had part in making this movie, right? And the actor who played Izzy did a phenomenal job playing Izzy. Izzy is just such a lovable character. The actor did such a great job, and I remember watching this when I was a kid, and this being like I loved this one more than the first one, and a lot of like the first one just I can see how it is just better, right? But I loved this one, and I loved Izzy, and I never really knew why until I started getting older that it's because he's a queer guy, queer final boy who makes it. And again, we're playing loose and fast with this final boy term, right? Because there's a bunch of people that live in this movie. It's not just
For how
him.
big that crowd is, it's
There's
really
a lot of people who live,
Yeah.
and some of them just scatter, and we just never see them again. They just when they start running, it's the last time we see them. But I love him because he's not written as a gay guy who's like struggling with his sexuality or anything like that. He's not out about it, but everybody's talking about it. Everybody's questioning it. When they question him about it, he doesn't really deny it. I think the rumor at school is that he has scars on his face because he got into a bar fight, and he's like, "So what? That doesn't mean anything." And the other guy's like, "Well, it's because it was at a gay bar."
Yeah.
And he doesn't really answer. He doesn't really deny it, but he doesn't, confirm it either. And I just like that. And I like that Izzy has a lot of fight in him, not just when they're dealing with the creeper, but also up against some of the homophobia he has to take on. When Scotty approaches him later on the bus, they have a whole back and forth. And Izzy really sticks up for himself, right? And he doesn't just take it and, shut up. He yells back at Scotty. When we do have the creeper hunting everybody. What were you going to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, and like I do like that I forget the character's name, the one that we thought was kind of cute that gets like the thing to his head when they're like,
Oh, yeah.
which like is so homoerotic that they're all pissing like literally standing next to each other in a
This
line.
movie is
It's
gay,
like-
gay, 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 gay.
Right. Well, when Zach was like, I really like the moment when they're like, you got beat up at a gay bar, and he's literally like, they're just standing there with their dicks out. Like,
Yes. As close as they can get, right?
right. Like, they
Close,
didn't
close,
spread
close.
out.
a little space, please. Like,
And all
But I
of
like
the
that
other
even-
boys are on the top of the bus, shirtless, suntanning together.
Suntanning. But I like that even with that guy, he's kind of just saying it, right? Like that guy's totally the guy that's like, yeah, you can suck my dick. Like that's how that guy's
Yeah.
like approaching it. But I feel like I like that even that guy's telling him like, oh, they say is he or isn't he?
Yeah.
But that guy's not. He's just like, oh, that's what they say about you. But like that guy doesn't.
He's very himbo in the purest form, right? Like he's not mean. He's just kind of saying things and doesn't maybe realize it might hurt Izzy's feelings or
Right.
having that brought up. But I just love Izzy's fight. I think Izzy is a queer character who was written with a lot of fight and didn't have to die, and he has like some pretty poignant moments in this. He's constantly trying to help out his fellow. I don't know if I'd call them friends, but schoolmates. When they get into the truck, I fucking love when they get into the truck and he's driving as fast as he can. He kicks the girl out of the car. I told
But
Ian
it
that.
saves her, but it looks
I
ridiculous.
would do that. Yeah, I'd kick Ian out of the car. And
Zach was like, I'd kick you out of the car.
he's like, it's because of him that the creeper is finally like weakened enough for them to really take him down. And then he crawls away from it at the end, and that's great that he survived that.
It's wild that that's the last we see him is crawling in the smoke,
Mm-hmm.
like crawling away, and we don't go back to him. But whatever.
He's laying somewhere.
Yeah, he's good.
He,
He's good.
he did
Well-
his part. Okay.
Because we had to end with the new shirtless boy who is walking out of his truck to see the creeper 22 years later. I was really messing.
boys.
Yeah, I was messaging Zach as I was watching. I was like, I forgot how homoerotic this movie is. Why is everyone shirtless? Not a complaint, just an observation.
Yes. But it's Izzy or isn't he, right? That's the one we're focusing on. Not all of these boys. Oh boy gets his fucking head torn off and shirt goes with it, right? He's just headless torso.
When we were watching that, I was like, wait, I thought everyone has a shirt on. The guy that gets his head ripped off, his shirt's he's shirtless, and then it was like, oh right, his shirt is pulled off with his head.
I always like final boys that aren't like typical, like, I don't know, heroes. You know? Yeah, hero looking guys, you know? Yeah, I didn't have time to watch all of it, so I just like started from the middle and went to bed.
That's okay. Those are all his good parts anyway.
Great. Yeah. And I saw when Jack killed him and like the other two. I think Jeepers Creepers really does have a thing for like the young shirtless dudes, because like when they both arrive, I was like, these two kids that arrived to see him at the end and pay money. Like they look like brothers, but I don't think they're supposed to be brothers, but they look so similar to each other. It's like,
there was definitely intent with all of that.
Yeah. And so you pointing that out, actually, I did want to say that a thing I liked about him is, he's not like your stereotypical hero, but also they don't make him like this like obnoxious gay stereotype.
Yes, which could have been very easy to do at that time, right? This was what, 2003? Gay best friend, you know, it would have been very easy for him to be like Mixie's gay best friend.
And like making
he's like his own person.
He's got his own sort of things. And he does. I think maybe that's why I gravitate towards him, just like I gravitate towards Final Girls, is that he's othered in this, and he's very clearly othered, and he's queer, and he's kind of on his own journey, but he's also not afraid of that journey. It seems like he's very comfortable on that journey, but like, because he's in high school, he just has to be there, right? You know, and as soon as he gets out of high school, he's moving to the big city or something. You know, he's getting out of there. I love his denim jacket. It's a real nice denim jacket. The pants, I don't understand the pants, but it's fine.
There was a scene when they're like walking to the car, and me and Zach were both like, "What are those pants?"
I think that's the first time we saw his pants.
It looks like he's wearing like parachute pants. They're so baggy.
They're very MC Hammer, yeah.
Well, I also remember like the first time I watched this, because this came out when I had just gotten to like undergrad, so it was like my college roommate and I were watching it, and I remember when like they identify Izzy as like a possible queer character, and I remember looking at my roommate going, well, he's gonna die, and like this like asshole straight boy who's like racist and awful is probably gonna be like the one to make it, because he seemed more of the focus of the story in the beginning than Izzy was. And so I think when you get to the end and Izzy's the one that makes it and the awful racist dude doesn't, I think that was a piece of that movie that I appreciated, where like it felt like there was punishment for how awful this character was, and Izzy being like a good, pure person, like was able to make it out the rest of the movie. Well, I can't remember the other guy's name,
Scotty.
but Scotty.
Yeah. And Scotty doesn't do anything either, right? Like his entire arc is sitting there bitching and trying to get people off the bus and just really horrible things, right? He doesn't actually do anything to help the situation. And I think this is what I like about the cast, aside from Scotty, is that most of them seem like they're in it together. And like there's real like we've got each other's backs, and as long as we're together, then we can take this thing down, right? And Scotty is the one who turns out to be othered in this movie. And I really do enjoy that. I like that, and I like that Izzy not only is the gay character that is thrown in there for tokenism, right? He has a lot to do. He has a lot of lines, a lot to do, and has shared screen time with, everybody else, because there's not really, Ian was saying this, there's not really a main character in there. I guess Minxie could kind of be, but really she's just the messenger.
Yeah. Yeah, because she does the least. Aside from having her visions, she don't really do shit.
She tells everybody, okay, that's enough. She said those visions are intense.
And I think you say that like Scotty was othered kind of in the way that Izzy was. I think Scotty others himself.
Yes.
Scotty like purposefully removes himself from everyone else, whereas like Izzy is othered, but is also trying to like this. These are my teammates. Like these are the folks that I'm here for. And so like one feels selective where the other one feels like society's pushed you kind of off, but you're to kind of like, whatever, if I don't make a big, that felt very 2003 to me. Like if I don't make a big to do about being gay, then I can get through this with everybody because they'll just kind of let it go if I don't like confirm nor deny anything.
Yeah.
Which was a very much a survival tactic in like early 2000s for young queer Eric.
Yeah.
You know, like neither confirm or deny anything, and you'll kind of be okay.
Yeah, that really was the tactic, right? I mean, just like pretend to be cool about it, but like kind of just ignore it or like bypass
Just
it a
laugh. Just laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're like,
After
are
all
you
of that,
gay? And you're
he's
like, oh, go ahead.
oh no, just like after all of that, he could just fuck off and not have to talk to them again. But during
Never
that, he
again.
could
Never again.
just, you know, group with them and figure out how to survive that because there was no other way,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
than to work with them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing Scotty does do with him that I do like. Scotty does defend Izzy because Scotty's even like, why are you doing this? We all have to stick together. And that's what's the asshole's name again? I forget.
Scotty.
Oh, wait. I thought Scotty was the guy that's in the truck
the
with
asshole.
him.
Scotty's the asshole.
Who's the guy that's in the truck with him? At the end?
Oh shit.
Yeah,
He
you
had a
might be.
nickname.
I think did they just call him D? I think they just called him D.
I think so.
You're right.
I liked him and Izzy sort of sticking up for each other because they were both like on the shit end of Scotty's harassment at times, and it was nice to see both of them kind of sharing in sticking up for each other, sticking up for everybody around them, and really like leading the charge more than Scotty did, right? And Scotty was supposed to be like quarterback or like whatever the hell Scotty was. They were basketball or were they football?
They're basketball.
Were they?
Wait, what?
I think. I mean,
I think they were basketball.
The
I think they
RC
were,
jacket
yeah.
said basketball on it.
Okay, yeah.
But maybe they were another sport.
Yeah.
Because like I mean like small
Sports.
small rural towns, everyone's on every team, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It was basketball.
It is
Yeah.
basketball.
see?
And the
Okay.
cheerleaders. I was wondering why there was like so many people in the bus. I was like, is this like an entire school, like a school of 25 kids, or is it just like a I was just wondering why there was like so many kids together because they don't explain it. They're just like we were
Yeah.
together.
They just,
on the
I guess,
bus.
just like an away game, maybe. So there had to have been another bus too, because there can't just be two cheerleaders. They had to.
Yeah, that's true.
They talked about them, and they're like, "You guys, you were waving pom poms this morning, and now you're a psychic hotline." But like, I don't know. But like, they do position Scotty at the beginning to be like the. He's kind of got a bad attitude, kind of like. You know,
bad
nobody
boy.
understands
Yeah.
me. But then he's also giving orders and kind of telling everybody to get back on the bus and stuff like that. And so they're positioning him as a leader. And I really like that he very, very much falls short of that. And it's the other people who he's harassing who were the leaders, the true leaders. And Izzy is
And
one
they
of
even-
those.
And they even do try to save him, right? When he gets
They
stabbed to that
do.
tree, they try to. They
They
do
waste their
I
own
mean,
precious time trying to save him.
They do.
Yep. I
He
love
doesn't
Izzy.
make it,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah.
love Izzy, and it would be nice to see him pop up again someday. I have not seen any of the other Jeepers Creepers movies, but I've heard they're terrible. So there you go. I'm glad he hasn't been in any of those.
Yeah, I haven't seen the third one, and I don't know if it's a reboot or what it is, but there's a fourth one, I think, that
Is
just
there?
came out in the past year, a couple
I
of
think
years.
it's the-
One
I think it's the fifth.
Oh,
called Reborn.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was searching for the second one.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's free.
Oh,
Is
really?
it? That's really soon
Yeah,
to be
you don't have to
free.
pay for it. You don't have to pay for it on Hulu.
Huh. There you go. They're trying to get you to watch it.
But
But yeah,
I
Ian.
because I heard it's bad.
Yeah, I've heard not a single good thing about it.
Yeah.
Ian,
So,
what is your pick? It's
my pick-
obvious.
Is he's probably on Zach's shirt, I think.
He is.
Chad from Scream 5 and 6. He's like the current it boy in horror, right? Like he would be like the current final boy. And I just love him so much. I think Mason Gooding is just charming, right? He's so fucking charming, and he's hot, and like he does a good job of being the cool straight guy that like all of us would probably hang out with, right? Like
Mhm.
he's not homophobic, he's like chill, he's like silly, he's kind of a himbo, but he does care about all these people around him and he does want to help. And he like in Scream 6, he's like able to be like the muscle, right? He's the one that's able to like punch Ghostface. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, granted, Ghostface then gets him, but I love him as like their like golden retriever final boy.
Oh gosh, he is a golden retriever final boy, isn't he?
really
That's so
is.
cute. That's nice. I wouldn't even call him a himbo though. I think he like steps above himbo too because he's smart. He's as smart as Mindy, especially in that fifth one, right? Like he's careful. He's not going upstairs. He's not. He makes a mistake. He goes outside, but other than that, he's pretty smart. He's articulate. He expresses himself pretty well, and he doesn't have lines that are like stupid jockey lines, right?
Well,
Does
I
he?
mean, in five, when he's like Hobbs and Shaw talking about his muscles.
Oh, that's fun though. That's cute. That's
I
fun
mean,
stuff,
I'm
right?
charmed by it.
It's
Yeah.
not like duh. He's like understanding everything.
I
Right.
did once tweet from My Bloody Judy, like our favorite himbo, and like 10 people were mad at me. They're like, "No, he's great. Why would you not like him?" I'm like, "No, I'm saying that lovingly."
See the guy who like brought up Izzy or Isn't He to Izzy in Jeepers Creepers. That's himbo.
No, I feel like himbo's nice. No, they're nice.
He's nice. He's nice.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Kinda. Are we arguing himbo or final boy here?
I know. Eric, what do you think of Chad?
I mean, well, one, what I loved is I got the text from Zach of what Zach's pick was, and I was like, yeah, that tracks. And then I got the text from Zach about your pick, and I was like, that also tracks.
That also just yes. I said we're simple gays, okay?
Yeah.
We're simple
But no,
tastes.
but like, I mean, but I think Chad's great in like a couple of different fronts, and I think one thing that the movie hasn't fully done that I'm curious, and I don't know, like in terms of where the arc for him is going to go, is like his sexuality to me doesn't feel 100% defined. Right, like because he was like talking about like the affection he shows for some of the men, like in the fifth one when he's like cheersing to Wesley, and like he's like, you beautiful bastard, and like later in the sixth one when he's hyping up Ethan and talking about like how much of a snack that he is. Like there's like a level of like it's a fun straight boy just being very comfortable, but I think there's also room for him to kind of be in that sexual spectrum of like he could be bisexual, pansexual, whatever, and I would buy it. And I like that there's that comfort of him, that he's comfortable in his own skin enough that if they went in a direction like that, I would buy it, and it wouldn't feel weird because he just feels very at ease with everybody to kind of be around folks.
I
I don't
read
think
him
that
as
they
very
will.
straight. Yeah, I definitely read him as straight, but you're absolutely right. Just complete comfort there. That's why I like him so much. Ian, you talked about this. Is like he just feels comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, he's not like. There's never a moment like he's like helping everyone, but there's never a moment when he's like, oh, like I gotta fight for the women. Like he's like more like, yeah, we gotta get out of this. We gotta fight. Like blah blah blah. Like he's not. I don't know, Penelope. What do you think of Chad?
And I also think he might be bisexual.
Oh, really?
Fair.
Okay, that's fun. We've got.
I don't
we've got a
know. I
good
feel like
discussion
he
here.
gives some. I think also to be a little bit on Ian's side, he does give off some himbo energy. I mean, he's like shirtless a lot of the time. Like, let's be
fair.
real. In the sixth one, he was like shirtless and was just like at the party, like with no shirt. I'm like,
He knew
okay,
those titties looked good.
Like, yeah, like he was like this. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm going to be real, he was like presenting though, which is fine. If you look good, like show it.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe he's bi, maybe he's not, whatever. But I like him as a final boy. I also think like if he gets stabbed that many times and survives,
Oh, Lord.
that's so many times. Like I think it was the same way as Dewey. Like he survived so many times with stabbed. Like so,
he's definitely like the new
R.I.P.
Dewey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
sure he
agree.
was done in this last one.
I fully cried because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my sweet boy. I like really thought he was dead. And then it was like, oh. And like, I go back and forth because it's like, he should have been dead, but I don't want him to die. So I was glad he survived.
Right. Yeah, when they like in the movie theater when they stab him like 6 or 7 times, because I went with friends and I do the thing where like I don't cry, but like I will grab my friend's arm and just like squeeze and be like, oh shit. And my friend
He was
left.
like double stabbed. Like he was
Just
getting
like-
stabbed on both sides.
The
It
the
was
same
wild.
time.
It was
I feel
insane.
like it was like 6 stabs on each side. Like,
And they were going
wow.
hard too, right? Puncturing all the
Yeah.
lungs, all the stomach, everything. I don't know how he is still
So
alive.
our friend Mike Zach, who's like a movie film editor, he
Mm.
was like, I think the reason you don't fully see Chad or that they put colors is because he would also have to have scars, and they probably like either forgot about it or something because like he gets stabbed a lot in 5 too. Like the ghost face is stabbing him as he's falling, so he would have like scars probably all over when he's
Yeah.
shirtless.
These
I mean,
newer
same thing
ghost
with
faces, they're always like they're on a side stab, you know?
I mean, same thing with Gail and Sydney. Probably like they don't like are like I don't want to go to the beach because they probably are like nothing but knife scars all over.
He doesn't care. He don't care. He says, I love it. I hadn't been stabbed in a titty once.
Do we think
One time.
No, because those titties would block it.
you're not
Like-
prepared?
There's a lot of muscle there.
There,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you guys think he'll die in the next one?
He has to. I feel like we're leading up to it, but I don't know. I love him. I wouldn't be mad if he didn't die. He came up with core 4, man. That made me feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, out of the core 4, I don't think you can justify all 4 of them making it out of a third movie together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just a matter of like out of those 4, like I like all of them.
Yeah.
And he feels like the obvious choice to me, which also makes me think that it might not be him.
That's fair.
And
But
I will
I
say
don't
that
know if I would even give them that much credit, though. I don't know. Not sure yet.
you can't give an entire monologue in the 6th movie about how everyone is possibly going to die, and like once again reiterate that the main characters can die, and then
Not kill anyone.
and not kill any of them. Like that
Yeah.
felt like they're planting things because I think I guess I don't know if they like had the vision for 7 when they were filming 6.
Yeah.
But that could have been a seed planted.
Because Mindy is also, they're kind of in the same boat.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Like, Mindy's also been, she didn't have as bad as Chad in the 5th one, but she's
Ghostface
there
twists
too.
it in her. It's like in
Yeah.
her stomach and twists the knife. I
Yeah.
imagine that would probably kill. Like
They're
if that
gonna go
happened to
for
me,
a
I'd
hurt.
probably die.
They're going to see which one's the fan favorite, and they're going to hurt us. And kill
Well, and also
whichever one
it-
that is.
And also whatever her Yellow Jackets filming schedule looks like too.
Oh, yeah.
'cause-
She dies, our opening kill, you know?
Listen, I feel like maybe it would be Jenna Ortega. She's like, nope, I'm making too much money. I don't want to go back to
She's,
Scream. Then they're like, all right, you'll die.
So I got to film Wednesday. I think she's filming Wednesday at the end of September, too, so I don't know when they're supposed to do this next one.
I did read that the filming schedule for Wednesday and then Scream 7 kind of like, I was reading something about that, how it's like, oh, last time they filmed Wednesday, she did like back to back for both of them.
Oh, did she? Oh,
Yeah.
she got to be tired. She needs to go to an island or something. Just vacation. Just a little vacation, right? I like that in 5, he gets a really nice chase scene at the very end. I mean, it's not
That is a
long,
good
but we didn't have a bunch of chase scenes in 5, and so he got a really good one, especially when he's like going across the lawn and Ghostface comes up from the shed behind him. That's just so good. And then in this one, he's like kicking everybody's ass, you know? Gets the camera, runs around with the camera, doesn't drop the camera initially, and nearly has them, you know? But then there's 2, and that's where they got him.
I mean, yeah, we're not going to rehab. I'm like, well, why didn't they help him? But we're not going to rehab.
I don't. They did help a little bit. They grabbed when there was one. They grabbed his arms, right?
Right,
And I really
but now
liked. I liked that threesome team up, but
Yeah.
then nothing after that. Right?
I would
Just let
hope
him
if
die.
I'm being stabbed by 2 people at once and there's the 3 of you there, the 3 of you would be like, yes, we can help save him. Not be like,
I grab you by your man button, just like swing you around and hit everybody with you.
I think that's when they found out there was 3, right? Like,
Is it?
Yeah.
they
that's when they found out too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
They
know.
could've-
And I also think for Chad, one of the things I enjoy about him was it never felt like he was trying to rush into like be the man saving the woman
Yes.
in distress. Like even in the apartment, like the apartment chase scene when he gets like locked out of the apartment right away, you don't get a moment of him like trying to bang down the door and do whatever. Like he might be trying to find his way to do something, but it's they're still able to take care of themselves, and he does what he needs to do in that moment, which I mean, I guess you could argue like maybe he should have been banging the door down, but I also think like because he was with it was just him that got
Him and Tara.
Him and
Tara
yeah.
got out. So like it's like let's get you out of the building. I know, like I guess like they're gonna take care of themselves. We gotta go.
Well,
Both our sisters are in
in
there.
five, everybody's looking out for themselves, right? Like, especially at that party, everybody's like, okay, we're all protecting ourselves. So he's protecting himself. And then in six, it is core four, and he is like all in with that core four and is protecting the group. His priority is to protect the group, make sure they all get out. Because when Chad and Tara like do get locked out, they thought everybody was behind them. They do go
Right.
back, but
And
that's how it
that's the
plays
thing
out.
that's another thing I love about him is that he is very like he's not like puffing his chest, but he
Yeah.
is like, no, I want to save everyone. Let's all help
If
each
he
other.
dies, it'll be doing something heroic. Like I have a feeling it'll be like defending somebody, saving somebody, something like that.
And I'll cry.
Yes, again.
Again.
Okay, I got a couple questions for everybody in the room. We're gonna start with Penelope. What is your favorite Jim moment from 28 Days Later?
When he gouged that guy's eyes out.
There you go.
I like that you had that.
It's all about the fight. Yeah.
It was just so good. It's just like bare hands and just it's great.
That's
Yeah.
always like a squeamish moment for me that I just like can't watch. I have to look away. Eric, Chris, what is your favorite Chris moment from Get Out?
I think it's when he takes that like croquet ball, like the ball, and just like whacks. Because I think it felt cathartic when he hits Jeremy, because Jeremy was such a jerk the entire movie. Like he was unlikable from the jump.
Yeah.
So that just felt really good, and it was also the turning point when you're like, okay, I think he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like he's got a plan, he's doing something, he's got a good potential to make it out of this. But just like him coming up from behind, just like whacking him. And then obviously like the next thing being the antlers was also really good. But I think just that turning point of seeing him take ownership in that moment and ruin Jeremy's day / life.
just the day. Tomorrow will be
Just the
better,
day.
Okay? We always think of the
He'll
glass
wake up in 28
half
days.
full.
It's fine.
Ian, what is your favorite Chad moment from either Scream or Scream 6?
I think it's like when he's making up core 4. I think it's when he makes up the name.
Oh.
He's like, and for me, that's what's a little like himbo golden retriever, because he's just like so excited and he just like loves his friends and his sister and like it's cute and he's so
Yeah.
like charming. I don't know.
I do love
What's
it.
your favorite Izzy moment, Zach?
When he takes charge in the truck and takes down the creeper. I love it. And it's a good moment. It's a good payoff moment for that character as well. That a queer character usually wouldn't get in a movie like that, And so I love it.
Especially back then.
Absolutely. Okay, final question for everybody. We've got these 4 final boys. They're all in a movie together. Who is the final boy of these final boys?
Oh.
I guess we have to like, what is the danger?
Yeah, is it like
Throw out a danger. I don't know. Just throw out a danger.
I'm like zombie apocalypse, Ghostface, the creeper, but those are all things
That's
that they
all
were
we
in.
got. Let's get crazy with it. How about let's do what
We'll
other
do, like,
things do we have? Do something that
Michael
that's
Myers,
not in this.
since they're not in a Halloween movie.
Oh gosh, we'll put them in a Halloween movie. Okay, so it's a Halloween movie against Michael Myers. Let's say like Halloween Kills Michael Myers, where he's just doing all the craziest shit.
Oh God.
I think Chad dies first.
Rude. No, I was
I
going to
do
say
think
Chad
Chad
might
dies
make it.
first.
I'm with
It's gonna be
Zach.
sad. It's gonna be sad, but we'll make it.
Y'all are rude.
Might make it. I don't know if he can kill him. I think he could make it. I don't know if he could kill him though.
Yes, I think, that's like,
He can outrun those zombies. Like he's good.
There you
But I
go.
don't know if he can make it.
If he can outrun
Yeah.
the zombies, he can outrun Michael Myers, I guess, right? Maybe he just survives
Yeah.
just based on running alone. Runs out of Haddonfield. That's what
Yeah.
You know what? Let's think about this for a second. Chris did stay. He was trying to get out the whole movie, but he did stay a good long while. Chris dies.
Yeah.
Izzy, I'm going to say bye to my boy Izzy, and I do think Jim just runs away from Haddonfield and
Yeah.
just lives like that. I don't know.
He doesn't kill like any infected in the movie. He kills one infected and it's a child.
Yeah.
So
That was brutal too, though.
if we put him against Michael Myers like 1v1,
Yeah.
Do I think he can win? I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, do I think he can elude him as long as possible? Yeah,
The entire,
probably.
but this is a horror movie, so he can't elude him the entire movie. So Jim's dead.
No.
Jim is dead. Jim
Yeah.
dies. Okay,
I mean-
Chris and Izzy.
Chris took out an entire. I mean, granted, they weren't strong like Michael Myers per se, but he did it down like an entire family.
I think Chris would be able to.
There you go.
Yeah.
He would be able to at least give him a blow hard enough that he can get away.
Like for that movie, he's dead and then comes back the next movie.
I feel like Izzy is
Doesn't
fighting.
die.
Izzy's fighting at the end with the lady with the iron. He's like among the Haddonfield townsfolk, beating up Michael. But when Michael comes up, Izzy gets it. So we'll say Chris. Okay, are we all in
Chris,
agreement on this
yeah.
vote?
Yeah.
I mean, Ian's sad because we were so quickly being like, "Well, Chad's dead."
Chad died.
Y'all are
okay.
rude.
Chad died.
Chad survived a lot.
Dude,
The reason I think Chad would survive is because he could survive all of the stabbings Michael would give him, and he'd be like, "You'd think he was dead," and then he pops up at the end and he's
I
fine.
guess there's some muscles of steel. I've
I also
never seen
think like
them.
Michael
Cool.
Myers doesn't miss when he stabs though. Like these Ghostface they missed a lot. Like
All
they
of
hit
them. All four of them.
yeah, Michael tends to stab like the
Yeah.
head.
He's
Just
like right at you.
I'm getting your
Oh, poor Chad.
he confirms the kill. Michael confirms that you're dead.
Michael a head stomp, okay? You've
I was
never
gonna
seen a
say, yeah.
Ghostface head stomp, but Michael a head stomp, okay?
Your body is a mush when he's done with you.
Yes, Chris pushes Michael Myers into the grinder, you know? That's how he goes out. Alrighty, well, we have come to the end of the episode here. Thank you all so much for sharing your final boys with us, your favorite final boys with us, and where can everybody find you, Penelope?
Twitter, it's at PReedXXX, and on Instagram, it's Pennybomb5000.
There you go. What about you, Eric?
So you can find our podcast, The Queer Experience, at The Queer XP on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at eCrumrine, ECRUMRINE.
Perfect. And we here at My Bloody Judy are teamed up with HorrorPress.com. Ian, do you have any upcoming Horror Press articles to share with the audience?
So you can find my most recent article about the 25th anniversary of the Buffy episode, I Only Have Eyes for You. It's on Horror Press right now. And this month I have a piece coming out about the 25th anniversary of the iconic Buffy finale, Becoming.
There you go. And just leave down in the comments below or share with us on Twitter who your favorite final boys are and why. What's your favorite part that they've ever done? Your favorite fight, your favorite moment, whatever. Thank you, Penelope and Eric, for coming on. We loved having y'all, and I think that's it, right? So I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye.